Good morning. We're thankful for your presence. We're thankful for the visitors that are here. And we hope that you get to stick around and we can meet you afterwards if we haven't already. I want to talk to you this morning a little bit more about going and telling the good news, which has been our theme this year. And each month we have tried to do something to tell the good news in some way, whether that be a month of prayer, or this month has been a month in which we have sung hymns together, and we have tried to invite different people who may not be Christians to come and to join us. I know that we went to Cane Ridge last Sunday, and it was a beautiful singing. I think there was about 80 or 90 people there from congregations around the area, and we sang, and I know that there were some there who perhaps weren't Christians, and I heard that they really enjoyed that. And so this morning, what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit more about telling the good news in how we sing. And so, as you can probably guess, we will be doing some singing this morning in the sermon. So if you want to have your supplement and green book ready, we will sing a few songs as we talk about singing. And I want to talk specifically from Psalm 96, and I want to look at this idea as Christians, followers of God, what a vision of singing is all about. And so we're going to primarily look at the first three verses of this psalm, but I do want to read it in its entirety. Beginning in verse 1, it says, "O sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord, all the earth. Sing to the Lord, bless his name, tell of his salvation from day to day. Declare his glory among the nations, his marvelous works among all the peoples. For great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. He is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the peoples are worthless idols. But the Lord made the heavens. Splendor and majesty are before him. Strength and beauty are in his sanctuary. Ascribe to the Lord, O families of the peoples. Ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory due his name. Bring an offering and come into his courts. Worship the Lord in the splendor of holiness. Tremble before him, all the earth. Say among the nations, the Lord reigns. Yes, the world is established. It shall never be moved. He will judge the peoples with equity. Let the heavens be glad, and let the earth rejoice. Let the sea roar, and all that fills it. Let the field exult, and everything in it. Then shall all the trees of the forest sing for joy before the Lord, for he comes to judge the earth. He will judge the world in righteousness and the peoples in his faithfulness." What a beautiful psalm that talks about all creation singing to God. Whether it's humans, whether it's animals, or whether it's the earth. We're all commanded. Everything God has created is commanded to sing and worship him. And that's the first point that I would like to make from verses 1 through 3. It comes here in verse 1. Singing is worship. And D.A. Carson defines worship in this way. He says it's the proper response of all moral sentient beings to God, ascribing all honor and worth to their Creator God precisely because he is worthy, delightfully so. And so singing is a way in which we bless and we ascribe and we give honor to the God who has created us. And if you drop down to what we just read in verses 7 and 8, this is exactly what this act of worship is for. It is to give him glory that is due him. He's worthy of it. And it is a way of us bringing an offering to God because of his holiness and his splendor. And so when we sing and we praise the name of the Lord, that is a primary function of worshipful singing. And I think sometimes the idea of singing and the importance of singing is sometimes lost on us as Christians, because we associate singing with some kind of act of worship, but it's much more than that. It is a beautiful commandment of God. 3 times in this first section here, in these 3 verses, we are commanded and exhorted to sing to the Lord. You ever thought about, we think about the commandments of God, we think about the 10 commandments. But singing is a command by God to obey. And if you were to delve a little bit deeper into the Bible, you would find that 50 times there is a direct command to sing, and 400 times or so the word sing is used by God in the Bible. And it just so happens that the text that we're in this morning is one in the largest books of the Bible, in this collection of songs that God expected his people to use in worshipful singing. And so we come to the New Testament. And again, God commands us through the Apostle Paul that we are to sing to the Lord, both in Ephesians 5 and in Colossians chapter 3. All of God's commandments say something about him. No matter what command God has given, it says something about who he is, about his character, his attributes. So if he commands us to sing, the singing says something about God too. And in listening and reading this weekend as I was preparing for this, there's a fascinating passage that I feel like I just probably read it, but it seems like I never have. You get those moments sometimes. And it comes from Zephaniah chapter 3. Zephaniah chapter 3. And I want to read verse 17 to you. The Lord your God is in your midst, a mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will quiet you by his love. He will exult over you with loud singing. Did you know that you serve a God who is a singing God? You ever wonder what that sounds like? What a humbling aspect, isn't it? That we are told that God sings over his people with loud singing. People who sing loud do it because they enjoy it. And somehow God enjoys to sing over people like us. And if that is the case, why wouldn't we want to give back to God through our singing after a verse like that? And it's not just God the Father that sings. The Son would sing songs just after the Passover meal. He sang a hymn before he went to the Mount of Olives. And on the cross, right before he breathed his last, he sang, or at least he quoted as much as he could from a song, Psalm 22, a song of lament. And so perhaps it thrills God to hear a chorus of not just any people, but redeemed people who are worshiping him out of their gratitude for the salvation that he offers them and gives to them. That thrills him. And I know he loves singing, not just because he sings, but because he gives us each a song to sing. Whatever you're going through in life, there's a song for you to sing. And that's what the book of Psalms was written for. If you are sad and depressed, there's a psalm just for you to sing to help you heal. If you are upset and you're angry, maybe you're one of the people who has felt directly the impact of the shootings in Texas, and you're angry because of the evil and the injustice that's been done in the world, God gives you a song to sing out of the Psalms to let you know he will judge righteously. If you are glad and you wish to rejoice and just sing a song because you're glad that you serve a creator like God, there are songs in here that he gives to you. There is a song for every one of us to sing at every moment in our life. So the first thing is that singing is a command by God because it isn't part of our worship to him It is part of how we worship. And the beauty of this commandment is that it actually benefits you and I. And so I want to turn to the Green Book to number 501. And I want to sing a couple of songs here that talk about our singing as a worship to the Lord. Number 501. And let's sing out. Let's try to out-sing God, if we can do that. Oh, worship the King. Oh, worship the King, all glorious above, and gratefully sing His wonderful love. Our shield and defender, the Ancient of Days, pavilioned in splendor and girded with praise. Thy bountiful care tongue can describe. It breathes in the air, it shines in the light. It streams from the hills, it descends to the plain, and sweetly distills in the dew and the rain. Frail children of dust and feeble frail, in Thee do we trust, nor finding to fail. Thy mercies how tender, how firm to the end. Our Maker, Defender, Redeemer, and Friend. All right, and then in the supplement, number 25. I don't think we outbeat God in singing, but you can't do that. It sounded great. Number 25 of the supplement, I love you, Lord. And this is what it takes. Logan mentioned the passage about if you love God, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. And if we love the Lord, we will abide by this commandment to sing. And that's what this song is about. I love you, Lord, and I lift my voice to worship you, oh my soul, rejoice. Take joy, my King, in what you hear. May it be a sweet, sweet sound in your ear. All right, thank you. Point number 2 from Psalm 96 is that singing leads to discipleship. Singing and what we sing shapes the way we think. It shapes our hearts. If what is within our hearts are wonderful thoughts of God and the attributes of God and the holiness of God, then songs about God are going to flow from us and from our hearts. And those songs are going to help shape the kind of disciple that we're supposed to be. And the difficulty with this is a challenge because it means it's going to take a lot of work on our part. I don't know about you, but too many times I make singing an easy thing because I just come in and I sing and I forget what I'm singing. I forget the words that I'm singing, but it takes work. If we pay close attention to the words we are singing, it's going to do something for us. Because we are supposed to be singing things that are truths about God. I think it's especially important for men who lead us in our worshipful singing that we look at the words and we contemplate them when we think about them. We look at them. Humans write some of these songs that we sing in our psalm book. They're fallible people. And so it's a job on our part to look at them and to determine, is what we're singing here line up with what God says? Because we are trying to put into our hearts and our minds things that are true. And so the more we sing songs of truth, the more the truth will be within us. And also, notice that the text here says this is to be done, in verse 2, day to day. Day to day. And Paul makes this point very clear in Colossians 3 and verse 16. And we sometimes emphasize that we are to sing in our worship, but we need to emphasize what it is we're actually singing. In verse 16, Paul says, "Let the word of Christ dwell in you richly, teaching and admonishing one another in all wisdom, singing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs with thankfulness in your hearts to God." We are to teach, we are to admonish one another with singing psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, but the content is what Paul is so focused on here. And that is that we let the word of Christ dwell in us richly. And so every day we sing or find a song that says something truthful about Jesus. Or when we are in our worship, it needs to be a song that depicts accurately the God that we are worshiping. So let me give you some things to think about on how you can do this from day to day. First of all, you can sing the gospel to yourself. We always get songs stuck in our head. Sometimes that can be annoying over time. But hopefully, when it comes to spiritual songs, that's not the case. I think about David. We read from Psalm 42 this morning. Psalm 42 is one of David's darkest moments in his life. And 3 times in that passage, David says that he's writing down and he's singing to his soul. And so what he's saying about to his soul, to himself, was hoping in God in his darkest hours. He sang it. And so it becomes another avenue to help us in a time of need, just like prayer or just like going and reading a passage. Singing songs about God that are truthful can be an avenue to help us in our darkest moments. I don't know what your dire situation could be. Maybe Satan is bearing down on you at your weakest, most vulnerable points of the flesh. And you're trying very hard. You're working to stay on God's path. And maybe a song pops into your head. Pure in heart, O God, help me to be. Or I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. I wonder what psalm or song that Paul and Silas were singing in prison in Philippi to help them through that moment. Maybe it was Psalm 2. Maybe they were considering and singing Psalm 2 where all the kings are trying to take their stand against God and God just looks at them and laughs. I could see that helping them. Or maybe it was Psalm 3, which at the end says, "Salvation belongs to the Lord, your blessing be on your people." Maybe in your moment of fear or forgetfulness, you start singing, "Great is thy faithfulness, O God my Father. You changest not. Your compassions, they fail not." You can also sing with your family. You can teach your kids these songs. We're told to teach the next generation about our God. And teaching them these songs, they have a better memory than we do. They learn those songs really quickly. And before you know it, they're singing truths about God. And it's teaching them. But we also sing with our church family. We are proclaiming the salvation of God to one another. And our theme is to tell the good news. And evangelism is actually used here in 96 and verse 2. It's the word tell. We are to sing and to tell his salvation from day to day. And so it's a way in which we herald the news that God has brought salvation. Turn to number 226 in the Green Book. (226), how great thou art. We'll sing the first verse. Actually, we'll sing verse 1 and verse 3 and verse 4. Sorry about that. 1, 3, and 4. And we'll sing 1, 3, and 4, and we'll sing the chorus at the end. But notice in the chorus, it says, "Then sings my soul." I'm singing to myself and I'm singing to you. O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, thy power throughout the universe display. And when I think that God is done not sparing, sent him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on the cross, my burden gladly bearing, he bled and died to take away my sin. When Christ shall come with shout of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Very good. The final thought, and I'll be brief, is that singing is telling the good news to the world, which is what we are trying to do this year. It's what we did this month. It was actually expected of God's people that they were to come and to gather at the temple and to sing to God. And the idea was that if there were outsiders that were journeying and coming in, and they heard that noise, that loud shout of singing to their God, that perhaps they might find their way to him. One of the mercies of God is this act of singing. And the aim of singing is to worship, but it comes at two benefits. It builds up the saints, and it proclaims the good news to the lost. And I can't help but think about what Paul says in 1 Corinthians 14. I know I've mentioned this before, but he talks there about praying and about singing, about worship. And it has to be done in a way that everybody can hear and understand. And his purpose in that is saying that you are doing this with your spirit, you're doing this with your mind. It's the building up of the saints, but he also says it's possible that there may become somebody, an outsider, an unbeliever who comes into your midst. And when he hears you praying together, when he hears you singing together, he says it may be that they will fall down on their face and they will worship God. One of the interesting things about Jesus and his sacrifice is how it unites people from all backgrounds and ethnicities and different places. People who have done a lot of bad things, people who are, for the most part, have been pretty good people. They all come together and united. Do you know that singing, the idea is harmony, it's unity? Singing together, people coming in from all different backgrounds are seeing us singing the same thing together. It's a sign of unity. It's a sign that God is among us. Number 544 in the Psalm book, and we will close. (544). This song is redeemed. Redeemed, how I love to proclaim it. Each of us have a song to sing and a song to share with people who are not Christians. And it's this right here. It is the new song, that we are redeemed people. Redeemed, how I love to proclaim it. Redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Redeemed through his infinite mercy. His child and forever I am. Redeemed, redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Redeemed, redeemed, his child and forever I am. Redeemed and so happy in Jesus, no language my rapture can tell. I know that the light of his presence with me doth continually dwell. Redeemed, redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Redeemed, redeemed, his child and forever I am. I know I shall see in his beauty the King in whose law I delight, who lovingly guardeth my footsteps and giveth me songs in the light. Redeemed, redeemed, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. Redeemed, redeemed, his child and forever I am. We're going to end with the beginning of that song, Sing a New Song. And like we just sung, we have a new song to sing. And it's interesting that in this text of Psalm 96, it tells us there that God is seen in splendor and majesty and strength and beauty. And the remarkable thing about that is, in order for us to sing a new song, God had to give up that strength and beauty. Isaiah 53 and verse 2 says, he had no form or majesty that we should look at him, and no beauty that we should desire him. Our new song is the fact that he shed his blood. He became ugly in appearance. He became weak and vulnerable so that we could have this new song to sing. And that's exactly what Revelation talks about it, isn't it? In Revelation chapter 5, they sing a new song. Worthy are you to take the scroll and to open its seal, for you were slain, and by your blood you ransomed people for God. That's the new song that we sing today as people of the living God. If there's any way we can help you this morning, come to God. And to make a new song, God will give you a new song to sing too. And we ask that you do that now as we stand and sing together.